While this is no longer the top of the GoPro line, honestly, this might be the best evolution and upgrade that we'll ever see in the action camera space, like ever. It has huge technical leaps over every other system and has a few key features that puts it well ahead of GoPro's offerings prior to this camera. But yes, the time for upgrade is again upon us, and the Hero 8 Black should be hitting the streets here soon, in like days. And that makes this the perfect time to find out. Is the Hero 7 Black maybe the one that's actually worth buying all this time later? Let's find out. What's up everyone, I'm the Everyday Dad, and if I can figure it out, you can figure it out. Man, it feels like it's been way too long since we've made an action camera video. And while I wish I could take all of the blame for this on myself, it's really easy to push the blame on other people, because it's one of the problems with the market right now. There are only really two companies innovating in this space, and that's DJI and GoPro. But I mean, I can't really blame them either, because the cell phone has basically usurped most every vertical of any camera ever, like mirrorless, DSLR, and action cameras. The cell phone reigns is like the looming shoulder of like now. Okay, let's actually play a game here really quickly. How many times I say now in this video? Let me know in the comments below. I happen to think that the GoPro Hero 7 Black is the pinnacle of action camera design and feature set. I haven't had the Hero 8 in my hand yet. Hopefully my pre-order will be here soon. It's gonna have to do some crazy things to justify the extra expense over this bad boy. Now, I pre-ordered this GoPro when it was first announced, and I've been using this ever since. Nobody gave this camera to me. I have worked with GoPro in the past to give stuff away, but they've never actually given me personally anything. Okay, enough talk, have at you, or you. That's a Castlevania reference, I'm a nerd. If you've ever seen any of my regular camera videos, we do things slightly different here in Action Land, and the criteria for comparison are even more devilishly genius. It's like the one good thing I've ever come up with. Action cameras have it much tougher and must stand up to the pillars of action. Action. To get a recommendation here. First up, decent video quality. Now you may have noticed that qualifier. Decent image quality. Look, these action cameras have teeny tiny little sensors, and they've got these robust bodies that they've got to fit into, so they've also got heat problems. So I'm willing to sacrifice a little bit of video quality for some other things that we'll talk about later. They're like the rest of the pillars. They're all important, like you can't build something without the pillars. But how does the actual image quality of the GoPro Hero 7 Black look? Well, it still looks great. I mean, nothing has changed here since the cameras come out. This can still record up to 4K 60 frames per second and 1080p and up to 240 frames per second. Looks fantastic. The big additional feature on the 7 Black as opposed to the earlier cameras, the 5 or the 6, is you can use all of these frame rates with the built-in electronic image stabilization that they call Hypersmooth, and there will be much more on that later. The image quality looks great. I've used this camera all over the place, and I've never been disappointed with its output. It even does really well in a studio setting. Well, for an action camera. It doesn't do as great low light, again, because it has such a tiny sensor, but it's so good. Something I do want to mention though is while there have been firmware updates and upgrades to the functionality since release, the auto ISO is pretty darn aggressive to this day. So my recommendation would be to cap the auto ISO to around 400 if you want to get video that doesn't have that gross like bleh, grain over it, even in moderate light. Like the auto ISO on these cameras, it's pretty aggressive. The two included picture profiles do give you a little bit of leeway to do either post-processing or if you want to, or be like most normal people and don't. What surprises me in myself is while I started off really liking the GoPro colors, sometimes they're just a tad too contrasty for me, so I've been using the flat image and just not grading it. I mean, as I get older, I feel like I like less poppy colors. Those darn kids and their vibrant blues. When it comes to slow motion, this is actually a beast of a slow motion camera. And if you remember the old reviewing the cheapest videos I used to do, we had the Crucible where we'd go outside and we'd break stuff. And most of that slow motion was done with the GoPro, 240 frames per second. It gets you a fantastic looking descent before something breaks. I do wish you could use the linear field of view with the 240 frames per second, but it's still doable. And let's back up a bit to that linear field of view, because if you are new to action cameras, they have a problem with fisheye distortion as their lenses try to capture everything. I mean, it's trying to capture all the, that's a good thing. It wants to capture all of the excitement. But if you don't want all of the excitement and you just want to talk to the camera or use the camera to capture footage that isn't hugely distorted and has nice straight lines, the Hero 7 does have linear mode. That linear mode is still really wide, by the way, and that will give you everything will then line up more, it crops in more, so you don't get that wobble on the outside. The problem is you can't use it in 4K or the high frame rates. Now, I have a philosophy on, I don't watch any other videos on something that I'm gonna make videos about. So I haven't seen any of the Hero 8 videos, but if GoPro fixed that for the Hero 8, that will be a reason for me to upgrade. Don't spoil it for me. Image quality is only half of the video battle, and the real key feature in the GoPro Hero 7 Black is the audio recording capabilities. It used to be that you had to pick. Do you want a durable, waterproof body, but real muffled audio, or a breakable camera with an exposed lens, but fantastic audio? Now, they combined, you don't have to pick. The Hero 7 Black to this day has the best in-camera microphones that I've ever heard of on an action camera. And yes, I'm including the ever popular FDR X3000, that's a Sony action camera, in that list. For being waterproof, it has no reason to be this good, but it is. Frankly, that's amazing. It's so good. Second up in the pillars is ease of use. Before the DJI Osmo Action, the GoPro was really the pinnacle of design in this area. Nothing could come close. Now, while I personally don't think it owns that particular mountain anymore, the Hero 7 is still pretty darn easy to use. I've never had a problem with its big touchscreen on the back, and sorting through the menus is still as easy and efficient as ever. The thing is, right, you never want to have to fiddle with the camera when you are out on a trail, in the mountains, or having family fun. I mean, some of those shots, some of the things that you're trying to record will only ever happen once. If you are messing with the camera, like button, if you're messing with it, you will absolutely lose shots, and you don't want to. That's why the user interface is it's insanely important. Now, I do prefer the Osmo Action style of scrolling instead of having to tap on everything, but this is still one of the best, and I would gladly take this over most other action cameras on the market. And really quickly, since we've covered ease of use and we've covered video quality, let's hop outside and do a quick vlogging test. Now, I don't normally do those in action camera videos, but I have been doing them more because as action cameras get better video, you'll start using them for vlogging cameras, so see you outside. And welcome to the vlogging test of the GoPro Hero 7 Black. Yeah, it's been a very long time since we've used this camera in this kind of way, but I still think this is one of the best action cameras for vlogging. Like, if you want to be very discreet, you still want to get great audio, you still want to get great video, you want that amazing stabilization, this is really, it's still such a good option. I know that's kind of like giving away the thing of the video, but I really kind of think so. If you look at product evolution, right, there's revolutionary and there's evolutionary. And I think the GoPro Hero 7 Black was a big revolutionary step where they took everything that they learned about the image quality and audio quality of the GoPro Hero 4 line, and then they took the waterproofness and just overall ease of use from the Hero 5, Hero 6 line, and they combined it into a very nice package. And something that I'm very excited about is, as you can see here, it just works. It just works. Everything's in focus. We're in linear 2.7K right now with the flat picture profile. This is the vlogging test. All I'm doing is just hand holding the camera. I don't have it in a tripod. I don't have it in anything else. I have it basically set to auto everything. And I still just think this is one of my favorite cameras ever made. This is, and I know the Hero 8 Black is coming out in the next couple of days, which is obviously why we're making this video, to see if this still stands up. And this absolutely still stands up. Now that it's gonna be even cheaper, the Hero 8 is gonna have to do something crazy to make me recommend the Hero 8 over this one, because this one's just so darn good. Okay, I'm gonna go enjoy this lake some more. You guys get back to the studio. Back to hit up the third pillar, durability. Look, come here. GoPro wins all day long on durability. It was only recently, again, that DJI released their action with a lot of features that were clearly reverse engineered from the GoPro line. But this is the king. I've taken a GoPro all over the country with me, and I haven't been particularly gentle with this camera, and it's still doing great. Yeah, I mean, it's got some scratches and some dings on it, but it's still alive and it still works perfectly. The best feature I think GoPro's ever come up with is this removable lens cover. It's not that the lens itself would get shattered or busted on a rock. However, it's really easy for a rock or other piece of debris to scratch. I mean, look, glass scratches and the outdoors is a wild place. On the Hero 7 though, it's not a big deal. You just pop this cover off and you put another one on. Plus, it's kind of an elegant solution for ND filters. Don't worry, accessories are coming later. Plus, like we already mentioned, this sucker is waterproof without a case. That's still amazing. And as we've seen in my How Durable Are GoPro Cameras video, this body takes a huge amount of abuse before finally succumbing and breaking. Like, durability is never something I worry about with the Hero 7. I'm not gonna break it though, I like this camera. Next up is compatibility with GoPro style mounts and accessories. I love this section when talking about actual GoPros because I don't know if you know this, but GoPros are compatible with GoPro accessories. Who knew, right? Mission complete, status over. Well, what's nice here is the default action camera is there are a huge amount of like cages, lights, ND filters. There's just all sorts of accessories that are made to work with this specific body, its connections. This is the iPhone of the action camera world. Not, I hear you in the comments because it's overpriced. Not because it's overpriced, but because it works with everything, and everything in the action world is made for this camera. You'd be hard pressed to find another action camera that has this level of compatibility. I'd argue that there isn't one. Even among GoPros, like this is the standard. And last but certainly not least in the pillars, as this is the camera that shattered all the expectations of this, stabilization. In the recent years, action cameras have uniquely positioned themselves to now be the most stable cameras ever. And the hyper-smooth stabilization on the GoPro still to this day blows my mind. I cannot believe the levels of stability you can get with this camera handheld. Handheld. I take this thing running with me all the time and it's insane. Could you get better with a gimbal? Maybe, but it's just so much easier to carry this camera and the stabilization is good enough to not need a gimbal. Since this came out, I seriously don't know where my action camera gimbal is, and it used to be something I carried with me all the time. I am legitimately amazed that this exists, and that's why I say this is a revolutionary design. But who cares, right? What we really need to know is the Hero 7 Black still worth getting? Now I did, before making this video, I checked. The Hero 7 Black is currently $329 on the GoPro website, but I'm under the impression, I think what I remember from their press release is that when the dust settles, this will be the $299 offering. And honestly, at either of those prices, yes, the Hero 7 Black is 100% worth it. Like I said in the beginning of the video, the Hero 7 Black is a revolutionary camera. It took two worlds and combined them together so well, it's going to be a tough act to follow. Now, I am excited to try out the Hero 8 Black, but at this point, it's got some serious shoes to fill. If you like this video, I bet you'd also like this video that compares the Hero 7 Black to the Osmo Action. Click here and check it out. Thanks for watching.